Hmm. Man, it was a great game. Everything you asked for, great quarterback play, and you felt like both teams were firing on all cylinders for the majority of the game. There were minor mistakes from either team throughout, but overall, like both teams played well, and we expected with the Eagles' offensive line and Pat Mahomes doing Pat Mahomes things, we both expected there would be a lot of points in the game, and I think that's what happened. And overall, I think that the difference was I felt like the Chiefs just adapted a little better in the second half to what the Eagles were providing. And the Eagles didn't really change their game plan based upon what the Chiefs were doing. And at the end of the day, that's the difference. And then, you know, um, people at the end can argue. I know the big thing is the holding penalty, but in reality, the Eagles kind of suffered, to me, a very similar collapse to the Falcons with the Patriots of the 28-3 game, which was the Eagles had full control. They were all of a sudden second half stopped running the ball. Their offensive line didn't help Hurts as much. They had the same play calling on defense that they were trying to do with Mahomes. They weren't adjusting at all, and overall, I think that just shot them in the foot. And I mean, people can argue with the call, but honestly, like the call is a focal point for neutral fans and Eagle fans to focus on the fact that the whole entire second half, the Eagles gave away that game. I mean, they were in full control, much like the 49ers were in Miami. I guess it was 4 years ago. And really that's the difference in the game was both the 49ers and the Eagles did not adapt to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs take home the championship. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. No. Mm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, I agree. And I think overall it was a good game. What you mentioned, like the minute coaching differences, like on the motion that's like stop jet motion, which is perfect because, like you mentioned, and you alluded to this a little bit, which was they saw that instead of following the receiver all the way through, the DB would transfer quote ownership of the person that was motioning to another person. Well, what happened was is what they would do is the moment that that transition happened on defense, they would stop the motion and the DB would go back to cover either the flat if he was playing a zone. I think he was playing a zone on that goal line stand where he's playing like this flat. Well, what happened was the DB shoots to the sideline to cover the other receiver who's on the far side, and the slot receiver who was in motion ends up stopping the motion, catching it, and there's no one there, right? And there's no one there at all. And so it happened twice, and it's really funny because on the second time with Sky Moore, he actually lined up on the wrong side. You notice that with Mahomes, he actually signaled to the wrong side. He looks to the right, and with his hand is like, "Come here!" Oh crap, he's not here, and then just calls it anyways, which is really just ballsy with Mahomes, and shows how much confidence he has in his receivers and what he saw with the play, and it worked out still. But yeah, I agree with you. Is stuff like that. I mean, when you can basically have a gimme play in the Super Bowl to score a touchdown in the red zone, like I mean, coaches would pay crazy amounts of money for that kind of guarantee, and the Chiefs had two of those, and those are huge plays. Mm-mm. No. Hmm. Hmm. Yep. Hmm. Yep. Hmm. And I think that's also related to fantasy. That's also typically why Andy Reid coached teams, with the exception of like the quarterback who touches the ball every play. It's hard to game plan around receivers and running backs from a fantasy perspective because, normally, logically you'd say, okay, the NFL's number one scoring offense, right? Like, if you just take that in a vacuum, you want all the players. You want the top three receivers, you want the running back, you want the quarterback, everything tight end. And other than, quarterback and tight end, which we've talked about, ad nauseum the last, 2 months with Kelsey Mahomes, um, other than that, the receivers, like, it's hard from a fantasy perspective to plan around that because Reed always schemes guys open. And like in the Super Bowl, Sky Moore, his first NFL touchdown in the Super Bowl, crazy, right? Like Tony, who has been inconsistent and injured for the Chiefs this year, he scores. Like none of the Chiefs playmakers, um, MVS, Juju, those guys who have been somewhat consistent in fantasy got those open looks. And so it's hard and a little frustrating from a fantasy perspective with Andy Reid. Kind of tying that all back is like from a football perspective, he's super fun to watch. Always will find a way for his team to win, but from fantasy, it's always head scratching because you don't know who to plan for. Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I agree. And like that's a whole discussion about where to take Kelsey. But I mean, based upon, there's several factors that I like about him is one, it's Tyreek proof, which I think that's why his value dropped this last year, which was everyone was low on the Chiefs. Chargers were expected to win the AFC West that they are every year for the last 10 years. And Mahomes is going to regress and yada, yada, yada. Chiefs are going to finish like, was it 9-8 or something? Was I saw a projection from ESPN? Yeah. Yeah. So you know, people were low on the Chiefs, which I get. I wasn't that low, like as the low, but I wasn't like they were going to win the Super Bowl this year, right? Like I thought they regressed some. I thought I was thinking like a 12-5 or something, um, I I think with Kelsey, I would be hard pressed to find anybody who takes him like I don't see him dropping past like pick depends on the league, but 6, 7, 8. Like I really don't see that. Like I see a lot of the hot running backs going off the board, and you're picking Kelsey as, like you mentioned, the wide receiver number one. especially too with our league and others that are either 1 point PPR or half point, he's not going to get like the four catches for 90 yards. It's a lot of these dink and dunk, find the open spot in the zone, turn up field, get 17 yards. Like, and he gets like 7, 8 catches a game, which is valuable in itself, and gets a ton of red zone looks and red zone schemes and red zone plays. And so, we had talked about this a few weeks ago for the Super Bowl, but I mean, like if I'm pick number 5 and Kelsey's available, I'm probably picking Kelsey, just because like and also too, if there was more options like with running back and receiver, even quarterback, you got some value. Like if you had Mahomes as a quarterback, depends upon if you're in a 2 QB league, you probably went first or second round, but other leagues maybe like third or fourth, maybe. Um, but you could have gotten Justin Fields for a value, right? You could have gotten a lot of other quarterbacks that were at a value but had comparable numbers. With tight end, though, there was nothing comparable in tight end. It was literally Travis Kelsey. You had Mark Andrews, who had a good first 8 or 9 games, then got injured, and then Lamar was out, and then was a complete train wreck. And then Kittle, who was inconsistent the entire year except for the last 2 games of the season, when all of a sudden him and Purdy had an amazing connection. So it was literally just Kelsey. So to me, you don't have to worry about tight end. All of us who didn't have Kelsey, we're trying to mix and match. We're, figuring out who's what's streaming, what's a good matchup. If you have Kelsey, you just play him, right? And it's guaranteed to give you 20 points each week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Man, okay. So my thought is no, because he officially, just because on social media and stuff, I've seen him file letters to the Players Association saying that he's going to retire. He didn't do that the last time. And it was kind of funny because JJ Watt was like, "Oh, dang, I had to do that because JJ Watt also retired." He's like, oh, "I'm just gonna skip it and make kind of like a meme out of it." So I feel like Tom is done. Um, if it would take a situation where he'd have to be given the keys to like the Ferrari, like a 49ers situation for him to come back. I That's my one condition for him coming back. He's not going to come back to the Packers. He's not going to the Raiders. He's not going to the Jets, right? He's going to come back, play for his like childhood team if he does, but the 49ers then have to offload, potentially two, well, they have 3 really good quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks probably to get some draft picks and stuff back. But I mean, that's the only situation I see is that he negotiates something with for the 49ers, is given the keys to this all-star stud team with a great defense, and that's the only situation I see for him coming back. And I just don't think the 49ers, with the way they are, they have a QB carousel going on. Like I legitimately have no clue who the starter is going to be this next year. So I don't think either the 49ers completely cash in QB and go all in on Tom Brady and they keep Purdy as a backup and they give Jimmy and Trey Lance the boot and get your draft picks for him. Or they say, sorry, Tom, like, you know, we've got Brock Purdy, we've got three other guys that we're trying to give spots to and no dice. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I'm not gonna believe it until he's. I'm not gonna believe it until he's not on the field the first Sunday. But I think right now, I do think he's done. But I've said that before twice, and he's still come back. He did a big fat TV deal. So replace my beloved boy Greg Olson. Love that guy. Oh man, nope, nope. Yep, exactly. Mm. Oh man, I think if you're the 49ers, like you spent some draft capital on McCaffrey. You have not quite all in Rams approach to your team, but you are on the cusp. You are definitely in a win now mode with your team. So if I'm the 49ers, I'm trying to get Jimmy G to to somewhere that honestly he's can get some draft capital for him. I mean, it's tough because we'll discuss this later, but you've got the Jets and the Raiders are obviously two spots where those are kind of the hot topic locations to go. Um, man, it's really tough because I think it's a whole side argument we can get into with Jimmy G, but like he has been a great game manager. And the 49ers have been really good. And I think the 49ers have someone like Jalen Hurts on their team or Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady. They probably win some Super Bowls the last 5 years. And so, you know, they've had injuries and just unfortunate stuff happen to them. So, you know, I think Jimmy G is a starter in this, especially in a league where too many rookies are just washing out and teams need to win now. I think in my personal opinion, I think he goes to a situation like the Jets and I think Aaron Rodgers actually in my opinion goes to Miami if he goes anywhere. But that's we can talk about Aaron Rodgers here in a little bit. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Mm. Interesting. Hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that take though. That's good. I like that. That's a possibility. Not the craziest thing that I've heard. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he is owed $59 million by Green Bay this next year, and that is guaranteed. So if he stays in Green Bay, and I believe whatever it is, it's the first day of training camp, whatever the cutoff is for the guaranteed money. Boom! Instantly, he gets all that money. So my thought is the Packers are not in a spot with their cap to have a quarterback hit that much of the cap. Personally, um, I don't think he's playing in Green Bay. I think he realizes that his window is closing. He realizes that he's a good quarterback. I think he has felt the sting of defeat too many times for NFC Championship games, divisional rounds. Like he's gotten so close but hasn't quite been able to get there. So my thought is he goes. I know the Jets is the hot ticket. They put a trade request in for him. There's behind the scenes stuff that's going on with the Jets, but I like him going to Miami where they have spent money on weapons. They have elite options. They have a good defense. They have a great offense. If they can get a quarterback who can sling the ball around and and just have some different some availability, I think he'd be fantastic in Miami. I think he would post crazy numbers because I mean Tua was. I mean we watched Tua last year through his injuries. He's not the. We haven't seen him be the best pure pocket passer. He's made some throws, but his receivers Waddle and Hill have done a great job of either bailing him out or running great routes, and then Tua's put the ball to them. I didn't see a lot of oh my gosh crazy Tua throw. Here's what he did. Like he put it in this tiny window, and the receiver like only had a little bit of room to catch it. It was a lot of just the speed and the route running of the receivers being better than the DBs, and Tua kind of putting on the money when they're open. So I think for Rodgers, I mean, the Dolphins were a great team last year. I mean, they almost beat the Bills on with an injured quarterback. Um, I mean, they were if Tua's healthy the whole year, they probably are get a higher seed. And they probably get past the divisional round. Honestly, they probably. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, but they do better. So I like Rodgers in Miami. I think that's a smart pick. I think he's going to prefer that over going to the Jets or something else. But just my thoughts. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the only problem is that if they trade him, even if they trade picks away, there's still the salary that they have to pay. And to me, like if Tom Brady comes back, he's not going to take all that money. He'll take, even with the Bucks, he was doing like 20 something million. It wasn't anything crazy. So like I think if you're the sorry, not with the Bucks, or yeah, with the Bucks. So with the 49ers, it's like, okay, do you want to spend $60 million on a quarterback and be in cap hell basically, or do at that point, like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, like do you really need the extra? Do you need Aaron Rodgers? Like, like could you do something cheaper? But yeah, I agree. It is a long shot, but still on the table. Hmm. 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 So Derek Carr, I think there are better quarterbacks than Derek Carr out there. There are also much worse quarterbacks than Derek Carr. So I think Indianapolis. I actually did like that pick. I think he'd be a good fit there. I think in terms of what you would get in return for value would be great. I don't think the Jets. I don't think in Miami. I don't think at 49ers. I don't think those teams are looking for a Derek Carr, right? Like they're trying to win now. Derek Carr is a great game manager with the Raiders and stuff. And I would say a lot of their losses this season weren't necessarily his fault. Some of them were, but some of them were just the defense collapsing epically. And so I think that the Colts would be a really smart pick. I think that would work well. I mean, I think as long as you don't have Matt Ryan back there, I think the Colts are going to be better by 3 or 4 wins automatically. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he looks uncertain. He looks scared in the pocket. He just doesn't look good. Hmm. Mm. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. No, no, it's good. Mm. Mm. So he had his best year. He has been Mr. Fumble, Mr. Interception, Mr. Turnover. It was pretty bad for a while. Giants combined with that, his interceptions and turnovers with also the Giants' defense in past years has not made for a good combo. They've had good playmakers, have not turned that into points, not turned that into wins. Um, Dabble turns this team that no one thought would do anything and brings them within, a curb stomping, but still a curb stomping of the Eagles. And they get to the divisional rounds and end up playing the Eagles and don't do so hot, but it showed the Giants got there, which is great. And so my thought, if I'm the Giants, is I'm going to franchise tag him, sit him down, and say, "Hey, we want to commit to you, but at the same time, we need you to show us that last year was an anomaly and that it's going to be. We need a second year of you leading this team, being a leader, showing up, being productive, and if that happens, we'll then reward you with a big contract." I would say that to him up front because I think if you tag him, it's what is it? I forget what the tag is right now. Like 36, maybe 35. Do you remember? It's a little less than what he's asking for. But yeah, so my thought is he gets the 36-35. You tag him, you tell him about the productivity, and hopefully he performs. And if not, you move on. And it's a 1 year deal. If he has a second productive year, I think you can sign him to like a 5 year, 4 year deal. Give him a player option, whatever. Sign him for a $200 million contract and move on. Because right now, if your quarterback is getting paid $50 million a year, at this point, it's a budget because if Jalen Hurts is going to get paid, Joe Burrow is going to get paid, Justin Herbert's going to get paid, and then you've got Lamar and all that mix too that needs to get paid. So you got four quarterbacks right now that are looking for extensions in this offseason. Getting a lot of money. Mm-hmm. 45. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh man. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nope. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been surprisingly quiet on, and maybe that will happen. Maybe we'll see some stuff close to the draft. Who knows? But I usually see some. We usually see some more extensions. We see some stuff because it kind of dictates how the draft's going to go. But I'm just kind of. It's been quiet. Usually the week out of Super Bowl is pretty busy with contracts and stuff, and I haven't seen a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I that's what I have no clue about. Like I feel like they just don't get along. They're not agreeing on terms of the contract. He wants 100% guaranteed. Ravens are concerned because he's obviously a mobile quarterback who's had an injury history, and which I get from their side, and but also at the same time, like I don't know what teams have a scheme set up like the Ravens do for him. Like Harbaugh's setup is perfect, so like they'd have to like re-scheme, and I just don't see a current team who has a running quarterback situation. Like the Bears obviously have the number one pick and Fields, so they're not going to do anything with Lamar. But other than that, like, and then the Eagles have Hurts, so I don't really see a lot of teams like, wow, this team is set up for, or this team had a running quarterback. They're not good. They need a running quarterback. So like, I don't know where Lamar would go, honestly, and he's not a pocket passer. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I have no clue. I would not be surprised either way if he leaves or if he stays with Baltimore. Yeah. Mm, mm-hmm. Mm, hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good take. Like I had dismissed Chicago off the rip because I thought between Fields and the number one pick, there's no way they would go and trade. But what you're saying makes sense. Is like they could get a running back, they could do something to help boost their team, and basically do a quarterback swap, which I like that. That's good because I think like Lamar is a weird situation because he's these mobile quarterbacks, they're so good, but if they don't take care of themselves, then it becomes a problem. And if you remember Lamar, when he's in the league the first 2 years, that guy was hitting linebackers straight up. He was diving for stuff, all kinds of things. And he's calmed down some now, but man, he was taking a beating. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Hmm. I think so. No. Gino did great. I think Gino did great. I think he honestly, I think he earned a starter spot. He for the money he's getting paid, Seattle couldn't ask for much better. I mean, to get a level of production above Geno, they had to pay 30-40 million dollars more than what they're paying now. I they give him like a short little 2 year deal and reward the season, and then I think they can make some moves. But like to upgrade their quarterback position, they're gonna have to spend, I'm not sure how much Geno's getting paid right now. I don't think it's a lot of money. But he's to upgrade from Geno. I mean, would you consider Derek Carr an upgrade? Like in the attitude, you had to be like an Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, exactly. So then Derek Carr is going to command 35-40 million dollars, and so you're really looking for like an Aaron Rodgers or like a number one pick or something like that, right? Is like the potential for greatness. And there's if you're Seattle, I think you just give him a contract and you move on. Yeah. Like, okay, so totally unrelated. It would be super fun to have Jason Kelsey sign. I know obviously Creed Humphrey's there. Jason Kelsey signed like a little 1 year deal with the Chiefs to play with his brother on the same offense. That'd be super cool. Like totally not realistic. Creed Humphrey did great this last year as a rookie. Um, Everything you could ask for, right, in terms of a rookie center. But it would be really fun to have Jason Kelsey like a 1 year deal with the Chiefs and like have like a pair of brothers who are really good at their positions play on the same offense would be super fun. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh man, man. Oof. Yeah, that would be man. I mean, the Lions already took giant leaps this year. I mean, they would be scary. Oh man, be insane. Be absolutely insane. Oh yeah, I mean that's yeah.